Good morning. Happy Monday. All right, hold on. It looks like I'm sharing my note taker. Let's see. Good morning. Okay, guys, it's Monday. It's Monday, rise and grind. All right, let's see if now this is updated. Okay, perfect. Now you should just see my screen. Perfect. All right, guys, let me go ahead and go Instagram here and I'm gonna share. How's everybody feeling this Monday? It's a rough Monday for me, I'll be honest. I had a big party this weekend. Super big party. Hold on. Let's get this party started live on Instagram. Let's do it. So, think we're good. Yay, we're live. All right, awesome. All right, well, good morning, guys. It's another blessed morning, another blessed Monday. We made it. We made it. Praise the Lord. We made it to another Monday. Good morning, Lydia. It's Monday, guys. Not gonna lie, this Monday I was like trying to get out of bed. Had a huge party this weekend for my daughter, turning 8 years old. And she is the only girl in our family. So we do it up pretty hard for birthdays around here. And we had the most magical birthday. It was every girl's dream, okay, including mine. So we had a lot of fun this weekend. And so, as much as I was tempted to sleep in today, because guess what? We're our own boss, right? We could do whatever we want to do. We don't have to be anywhere at 9 o'clock. But that is the hustle culture, right? And for us as entrepreneurs, as realtors, right? We are basically our own boss, our own accountability system, okay? So if we don't show up, we basically are firing ourselves, right? So, having that grind, having that hustle, developing that schedule of what you're going to do, whether you feel like doing it or you don't feel like doing it, you got to do it. Okay. And so I'm happy to be here with you guys and talk today some Monday motivation. Okay. And if you're following me 9 times out of 10, it's because you're associated with probate real estate. So my idea is to share every week. Last week we cold called together, which was a lot of fun. We actually booked an appointment live together. So you got to see what it was like to actually make that contact and go ahead and speak to an executor and schedule an appointment with them. And as you do that week by week, like this week, I have 2 property tours set up. So that is basically phone consultations. First, it was a cold call, right? So I was making my dials, got a cold call, booked an appointment. Then we had the phone consultation. In the phone consultation, we identified that yes, they want to move forward with selling. So now this week, I have 2 property tours set up. So very likely I will get both of those listings. Very likely. Okay. So pray for your girl. All right. And this is the way that you build up your pipeline in probate. Okay. As we discussed many times on here, probate never stops. Probate never ends, right? So Every week you get a new set of leads, a new set of people go on to another planet, right? They go to heaven and they're no longer here, and their family is left to pick up all the pieces and help get, move forward, right? So as real estate professionals, every week, good morning, Salia. Good morning. Win with Brad just joined the live. Let's go, Brad. It's been too long. Good morning. So all of us here in Florida, we're pretending like it's cold over here, okay? But actually, we're doing pretty good. I had some clients from New York sending me pictures, and it's insane what people up north are going through right now. So it looks like I got all my Florida people and Las Vegas on here. So there's no snow in our neck of the woods. But yeah, guys, so it's just about that every week grind, right? Every single week. There's nothing crazy about probate real estate, you know? You get your leads every week, you make your calls, you book your consultations. From those consultations, they turn into property tours turn into listings, and it just keeps going like this, on and on and on and on, you know? So every week you'll get better. Every week you'll get better at sharing your script. You'll get better at booking appointments. You'll get better. I'm still getting better, and I'm 5 years in, and I'm still developing myself, right? And that's the life of the entrepreneur. A lot of times, even beyond the probate real estate, it comes down to your inner strength, right? It comes down to your inner disciplines, right? So, like I said, this weekend was like a huge party weekend at my house. There's nothing more than I'd rather do than probably just snuggle into my bed. I don't have any scheduled appointments until later this afternoon. But the way that we start our week, the way that we start our morning, that is how our week is going to turn out. That's how our day is going to turn out, right? Imagine a restaurant owner is like, there's probably nobody going to be in the morning for breakfast. It's cold outside. People are staying in, and they just don't open the restaurant, right? That's not how real businesses work. Real businesses are showing up rain or shine, rain or snow. Long weekend doesn't matter. You got to open the business at, 10 a.m., 9 a.m. So realtors need to develop that culture within themselves, those inner disciplines that, hey, nobody knows if I didn't come in my office and get my work started, right? Nobody technically is going to fire me. But within yourself, you need to develop that discipline. Because as we've been talking on these lives, guys, is that what's happening in the real estate market is the parting of the Red Seas. Okay. You're seeing the realtors, the haves and the have nots, the realtors that are making money and the realtors that are going and getting second jobs. Okay. So this is a time where you've got to work on your inner disciplines so hard. Okay. This is not like, oh, you're just going to stumble across deals in this market. People aren't selling, people aren't buying, right? So we need to strategically place ourselves in a place where we can earn business. We have a way to go out and get business every single week. And it's not going to be done on like, maybe today I'll get up and I'll go out and make my cold calls. Oh, maybe today I'll go make some calls for myself. No, I have a schedule. This is what I'm committing to. Come hell or high water, I'm going to be accountable to my schedule, right? I'm going to be accountable to myself as a business owner. Okay. So what I want to break down for you guys today is one of the key aspects of being a probate realtor is you are being a listing agent. Okay. Leanne Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning. You are going to be a listing agent, right? So some people get into this business, they're a brand new realtor, or you've been in the business for a while and you did what everybody told you you had to do. When you first get into real estate, you have to work with buyers. You've got to get experience. You got to go be a buyer's agent, right? A lot of people get in the business and they start working on a team. and the team, are they putting you as a listing agent? No, they're not. That is like a very revered position on a team. Normally, there's like 1 to 2 listing agents on the team, okay? And everybody else is a buyer's agent, okay? When you first start off, they tell you, oh, buy leads from Zillow or whatnot. And what happens? Zillow takes 40% of that commission. Any lead provider out there is going to take anywhere from 20 to even up to 60% to give you a lead. Okay. I never agreed with that from day one in this business. I was like, what? When I was on a real estate team, they had hired me to be an ISA where I outbound dialed for the team to get listing appointments. So I was calling, for sale by owners, expired listings, circle prospecting. And then they actually offered me a position to be a listing agent on the team. Okay. Which was like a big deal technically. But then when the lady explained to me, the team leader, how much she would pay me to be this listing agent on the team, I hope everybody's sitting down for this, okay? 20%. 20%. So I was going to be the listing agent. Technically, this was a very high profile team, so they did do like almost everything for you, but still, 20%. And I was like, you know what, girly? I was like, thank you for that offer, but I'm going to go out and be a listing agent for myself. Okay. And guess what that person told me, that team leader? Okay. She says, you can't do that, Carolyn. You can't just go out and be a listing agent. You've got to have years of experience. You can't just be a listing agent. And I thought to myself, you know how that goes. Like, you're telling me that I can't do it? Okay, now that is exactly what I needed so that I can get fortitude to go forward and be a listing agent. Okay. And so, yeah, Sally, you like that, right? I'm like, what? Say something. Okay. So what did I do? And I want to share this with you. What did I do? Okay. Because technically at that time, I was not a listing agent. I got my real estate license when I was 18. I did a lot of rentals when I was young. I sold a couple of houses. Then I started having a bunch of kids. Then I got married. And I always maintained my license and, help friends and family kind of thing. But it wasn't my full time gig. Then when I went back into real estate full time, that's where I went. That was my first stepping stone. So I became an ISA for this big team. So at that point in my career, I hadn't really like developed myself as like this, 20 plus deals a year. Like, you guys know what I mean. I was just kind of just piddle paddling in the business. So, what did I do? Well, I got a mentor. Okay. I went and got coaching. So I signed up for a coach. This guy's still around to this day. He's awesome. His name is Bob Leffler from Fearless Agent. Okay. And he basically taught me how to do a listing presentation. What did I need to do when I got in front of this buyer? I studied the script, I practiced the script, I did everything that he told me to do. Okay. And this is very important, guys. I can't tell you how important it is to get a mentor. If you've never been a listing agent, if you're not a listing agent now, yes, you can do it from day one, but you definitely want somebody to mentor you. You definitely want somebody to kind of, walk you through the process. And when you freak out and you're like, oh my gosh, I got an appointment and this person wants to sell their house. Like, can I do this? Can I actually handle this? I remember my first appointment that I got, and it was a cold call. It was a straight cold call. So it's not like probate where we know that they have to sell and all the things. It was a straight cold call. And I asked the guy if are you thinking about selling your house? And he was like, well, not right now. And in that script that I used to cold call, the second line that you would ask, right? The second line of asking them for the sale was, well, if you knew that you would lose tens of thousands of dollars by waiting to sell your property, would you absolutely have to wait? And the guy was like, no, I wouldn't have to wait. I mean, I would rather just do it now, if that was going to happen. So with my coaching program, you had to book that appointment. So I remember calling my coach and just being like, oh my God, right? It was my first listing appointment all on my own. It actually, as luck would have it, it was my first booked appointment on my own, not working for the team, on my own. And my first listing appointment, I went and sat at that kitchen table with sweat dripping down my back, like faking it till you make it. And I got that listing. Okay. And that was like, where the lights, fireworks went off, and I was like officially in business for myself, right? So, but at the end of the day, no matter how you get that listing, whether it's a probate, whether it's a cold call, right? You need to know the framework, right? Like you need to have a plan, because you, as the listing agent, you're now the captain of the ship. You're now the person that is in charge, right? There's nobody else behind you to saying what to do. It's you. Okay. So you've got to be the one that knows exactly how to prepare the house for sale, knows how to price the property, knows how to present the property to the marketplace, knows how to market the property, right? So being a listing agent does come with quite a bit of responsibility. Okay. Now, why I like being a listing agent is because I can control my schedule. So when you've got a bunch of kids and you've got a bunch of family, right? I can't just go on a whim and show somebody a house. I'm not going to go on the weekends. Like I've got a lot of family stuff going on. I can't be available on the weekends, right? So being a listing agent, you do get that power where you are control of your schedule, right? You say when you're going to go to the appointments, you say when you're going to go to the inspection, you say when you're going to go do whatever. So that is the benefit, right? You're not being pulled in a million directions like a buyer's agent. However, though, you are carrying a lot of responsibility, okay? And I take it very serious. When I represent a seller, I take my job very, very serious. Because think about it, guys, people are putting their property in your hands, okay? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, right? A lot of times a house is the most important asset that a person owns, the most valuable asset, right? So the last thing, like what would keep me up at night, being a listing agent, like literally, and sometimes I still struggle with this, is pricing the properties, right? Because never am I going to want somebody to get less money. I'm always going to want them to get top dollar for their property. I'm always going to want my clients to get maximum out of their properties, right? But at the same token, we've got to make sure we don't overprice the property so then nobody shows up, right? Everybody's had those listings where you let the seller be the boss, which that's a big no in being a listing agent. In my coaching program that I mentor agents, I have worked with multiple agents and had to kind of like smack them around a bit. They say, you're not an order taker, right? So if the seller tells you something and they say, well, Carolyn, we want to go ahead and sell the house for this price, right? And then I'm just like, okay, sir, that sounds good. Go ahead and sign right here and we'll put your price here, sir. When me and you both know that that price is never going to work. There's no way that guy's going to sell the house for that price. So you have to have, you know, there's probably a better word for this, but you've got to have balls, right? You've got to have like some gumption to you so that you can tell the seller, I respect your opinion and I could see how you would feel that way, right? Like I also teach that a lot in my group is how to, deliver bad news, right? Like how to articulate that in conversations with people, right? You can't just say like, no, sir, that's a completely stupid idea. This is what you need to do. And he's going to say, well, I don't want to work with you. Get out of my house. Right. So it's still a sales process. Right. But you've got to be the one that's able to show them what is the right price that you should price this property. That's like one of your most important jobs as a listing agent. Good morning, Debbie. Welcome. Happy Monday. That is one of your most important jobs as a listing agent. And in probate, that's what you're doing. You're a listing agent. So, you're going to have to step into that position of authority. If you've never had it before, just you got to fake it till you make it. You've got to be the authority, right? As the listing agent, you're the captain of the ship. You're the boss. You're not an order taker, okay? So when you come out of being a buyer's agent where they're like, I want to go see this house, and you're like, okay, I'll set it up for you. Any other houses you want to see? You're basically like a waitress. Do you want more ketchup with that? Like, is there anything else I can do to put some whipped cream on top for you? As a listing agent, you're kind of like a bad guy sometimes. You're the bearer of bad news. You're the one that has to break it down to the seller and say, sir, I understand you want to sell your house at this price, but these are the reasons why we should not do it. And by overpricing your house, it's actually going to negatively impact you. You're not going to get to move to Colorado. You're not going to sell your house in the time for you to buy that other one, right? Like, you've got to really be strong in these conversations. And that's what people need in this market, guys. Do you want to be a listing agent? It doesn't happen often with probate because people are normally more likely to, come to terms, right? But you don't want to be a listing agent that takes listings only for your listings to expire off the market. Everybody in the business knows, why did a listing expire? There's very few reasons other than the price. There's very few reasons other than the price. If you price the property right, 9 times out of 10, this house is going to sell. If the house is overpriced, why people think, oh yeah, I'll price it at this, and then people will just make me an offer. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. If it worked that way, then shit, let's put every house at $1 million. This is what I used to tell people on my listing appointments. I'd say, you know what? If overpricing works, how about we do this? How about we set the price at $1 million, and then me and you can split the difference? How about that? How about that? Will that work? It doesn't work. When you overprice the house ends up expiring off the market. You don't get your commission check. You have a lot of wasted time. The seller's unhappy. And then somebody else is just going to go take your listing. They're going to be tough with the seller. They're going to get him to reduce the price, and they're going to sell the house, and bada bing, bada boom. Okay. So pricing the properties as a listing agent is probably one of your most important things that you need to learn how to do. And hey, when you're brand new, it can be scary, right? So some things that I recommend is, realtor colleagues, right? Like, don't get somebody that maybe just got their license, right? Try to find somebody that has some experience in the game. Make an appraiser friend, okay? So the next time that you have an appraisal done on your property, go to the appraisal. I always recommend that as a listing agent, okay? Is you go to your own appraisals, and when you're there, make friends with the appraiser and just say, hey, would it be okay if I call you sometime? Sometimes I get really stuck on these properties, and shit, even if they're going to charge you, like most people, most appraisers, like, yeah, sure, give me a call, no problem. But even if they say, hey, I'd be willing to, give you $50 or, $25, appraisers do this thing called a pencil search. Okay. And that's where they just give a rough estimate. Like, we don't need a hardcore appraisal value. Okay. But there's so many tools out there now too, guys, like Zillow, which always can't be trusted. I'll tell you that. RPR is a good one for values. The worst thing that you can do is ask the MLS to make you a comp, right? That's the worst type of value that you can do on planet Earth. But you'll want to run it by somebody else. Like in my group, in my coaching group, you can bring your deals to me. Like, what is it? What deals do you have? What price are you looking at? Like, anything that you feel insecure about. And that's why it's good having a mentor, especially if you're brand new to being a listing agent. Okay. So now that we kind of talk through like what it is a little bit to be that listing agent, why it's so important, what is the attitude you need to have as a listing agent. The other thing I want to talk about is what's happening in our markets today. Okay. So if we were having this conversation, 2022, 2021, 2023, when you were pricing properties, literally, you probably could have priced it for $1 million and sold it, and it was like $500,000 more than what the house was worth. Okay. It was a crazy time that we were living in. So you could just put any price that you wanted on the property and it would sell. Okay. If you're in majority of our markets right now I know the Northeast, like New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, like that whole area seems to still be on a real estate pump, which is weird, okay? But the rest of us are starting to see that decline, especially in Florida, in Texas. Like, literally, the values are just going like this, guys, okay? So, when you're in that type of market, when you're in a declining market, right? So, how do you know you're in a declining market? Well, it's pretty easy. What were the houses selling for, even last year, 2025, or go to 2024? That's the shocking year. In 2024, a house may be sold in the neighborhood for, 700,000, and now you go to 2026 or 2025 and the same exact house is selling for like 450,000, okay? So we have enough data. Last year the data was still being uploaded, but now we have pretty decent data that's showing a complete price difference between 2024, 2023, and 2025. And I'm not talking no 1%, 2%, 3%. In my market, it's like 10%, 20% in some cases. And so what's happening is that the market is sliding while your listing is on the market, right? So it's happened to me a bunch of times in 2025 is I would look at the comps and I would have, let's say that there was this one condo we were selling and there was like at least 4 or 5 comps that said 225, 220, 221, 227. Like there was like so many that all day long that price that listing should have been sold at 225 all day long. Okay. So what did we do? I want to get my client as much money as possible. So we put it on at 225. Now, when you saw those other listings, they had listed it higher. They had said, oh, it's going to be 235,000 was the list price. And then they ended up selling at 225. Okay. But what Carolyn does is I always like to price it at what the houses actually sell it for. So that realtor took a stab, that listing agent took a stab, and they said, oh, we're going to try at 235, but ended up selling at 225. So when I look at the comps, I'm looking at what did they all sell for? 225, boom, that's going to be my listing price. I'm going on at 225, okay? So that's what I did in this example. I went on at 225. But as I went on at 225, there was property started selling for 199, 170, 160, 150. And I was telling the seller, oh my gosh, like this is not good. This is not good. Like we are in this is not good because if people are now dropping their pants and selling at 175, 165, 150 was the lowest at the time, nobody's going to buy my property at 225, right? So when you're in that declining market, number one, you need to, which is what I've been doing towards the later end of 225 and going into 2026, is I'm pricing the properties slightly under, right? So in that same example, right, if I were to see 225, 225, 225, I'm going to recommend to the seller that we go on the market at 199. Okay, so every house says that it should sell at 225. I'm going to go on at 199, because when you're trying to catch a falling knife, right? Like you're trying to catch a knife that's falling, not a good situation, because you're basically you're basically, the market is dragging you down. You don't want to drag. You don't want your listing to drag down, okay? You want to price it under market, right? So this is what's been happening, okay? And it hasn't happened in like the last year and a half, to be honest, okay? But I've been getting multiple offers. And why am I getting multiple offers now? I'm getting multiple offers because I'm slightly underpricing my listings. Okay. And so this is what we're talking about today for everybody that's just joining on. I see Debbie, Eric, Carlos, Bob. Good morning, guys. Welcome. We're talking today about being a listing agent. And in probate, you're a listing agent. And one of the most important things of being a listing agent is how you price the properties. Okay. The most disappointing thing that you can do is go through the whole process of cold calling, consultation, property tour, property prep, going through the whole motions, and then have a house that won't sell, have a listing that won't sell, right? That's the worst, okay? So the good thing for us in probate is that people are open to lowering the prices, right? But when you work in the traditional market, you've got to be even stronger of a listing agent, because when that traditional seller is like, no, Carolyn, I want to price it. All the houses I've sold for 500, I want to price mine at 550. You better go head to head with that seller in a way. Remember, because you don't have the deal yet, you don't have the listing yet, so it has to be in a very classy way, okay? But you cannot take that overpriced listing, because you're going to be frustrated, the seller's going to be frustrated, and you're going to lose the listing and you're going to get nothing. So right now we need strong listing agents in the market, and you've got to be able to articulate why you're underpricing it slightly, why this is in the seller's best interest, and why your property is going to excel on the market. And once you start doing this, you're going to have the stats, okay? So I actually have a couple listings that I've done this on now, because again, guys, you weren't doing this last year, right? I wasn't doing it last year, because before you could price the price at whatever price, you were not underpricing properties. But when you underprice them, then everybody in the marketplace gets shocked, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, this is a great deal. Let's run out there and get an offer on it, right? So consider it where you'll do 25 or even 50,000 under what the last listing previously sold for. Okay. So depending on your price point, you want to shock the market. And when you shock the market, then everybody shows up. Okay. Then everyone shows up. And listen, when the right buyer finds the house, they're going to pay fair market value. They're going to pay fair market value. But it was a marketing strategy by underpricing it that got like a frenzy to come out, got everybody to show up to your listing, and the people are calling you, hey, do you have any offers? Oh, actually, we do have a couple offers coming in. So when they tell their client that, their client's like, okay, I really love this house. Just go ahead and put it at this price, right? And then they just start bidding themselves up. And all of a sudden, you just sold your house for what everybody else sold in the neighborhood, and you were able to do it in less than a week, maybe, right? Instead of slightly overpricing it and then letting the market drag you down and end up having a 6-month listing. Okay. One other thing I want to share on this whole pricing strategy in 2026 and being a strong listing agent. One other thing I want to share is in probate, okay, specifically, is sometimes when the family member passes away, there is a mortgage on the property, okay? And the market is sliding, right? So in Florida, I've had this happen 2 times last year, 2 or 3 times last year. So I want to share it You can learn from my experiences. Is I couldn't believe it, to be honest, but the market came down so much that we almost couldn't sell the house. In fact, one listing we had to just cancel out. The family ended up keeping the house. We were going to go to a short sale situation because literally the market had came down so much it didn't have enough money to pay the closing costs and pay off the mortgage. Imagine that, right? So you have to be very cautious as a probate listing agent, and you've got to really look at the numbers, right? How much is your mortgage payoff? I always like to say, hey, do you have like a recent statement that I can take a look at, right? And see where they're at right now. What about the HOA dues? Are they back due? Are they past due? A lot of times in probate, nobody's paying the HOA. The HOA is backed up 3 or 4 months, right? Is there any other liens on the property? Is there any other things on the property? Add it all up, guys, because then you're going to see what margin you actually have to, first of all, price the property, but then what do you have to even negotiate? You know, because the worst you could do is take a listing and then end up finding out that you can't even sell this baby because the market is sliding so much, right? So sometimes you can put into effect like a flat fee, like say, hey, this is a situation with the market, like I'm willing to work with you guys, but this is what my fee is. We can do that. We can name our price, right? I'll market, I'll do everything for you, but just in the event that it's the market goes down below this price, you know, this is what I charge to handle everything for you, right? Or educate them on what short sale options look like to be able to sell it, to be able to get it out of the estate's name, to be able to, settle the debt. But we're going to have to do a short sale because the market is sliding, right? So those are things that you want to be cautious with, especially if you're getting vendors involved in probate and stuff like that. You want to make sure that there's a clear way out of this listing, and you're not just clogged up and did all this work and now you can't even sell the house because there's not enough money to even pay your commission. Jeez Louise, that's the market we're in right now. Okay, so let's go, guys. It's Monday. Let's get this money out there, okay? There's people waiting to give you deals right now, okay? So get on the phone, get your dialers up, get your prospects going, get your contacts going, book some appointments, get some consultations, and get some listings. Let's go get this money. It's Monday. It's going to be a powerful, what is this? This is the last week of January. Oh my gosh, can you believe it, guys? We're heading into February. That's it. January is a wrap. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. Have a very successful week down there in Miami. Go get them, okay? There's money out there, guys. Don't believe anybody tells you there's money flowing through the air. All we got to do is go get our bag. Go get yours. Go jump up in the air and grab yours, okay? And how do we do that? We pick up our phone. It's so easy. You make a contact, one call, one appointment, one new listing. Boom, bomb, bing. Okay, guys? So, and don't forget, Tuesday, we're having the Real Deal Talk Tuesday night. We're actually going to have the probate lead guy sharing with us some details about the probate lead. So it should be a really cool conversation. So if you're not signed up for the Real Deal Talk, go ahead, hit the link in my bio. Make sure you get a seat to come into the room. We're also hosting a master class this Wednesday. Okay, so if you want to just stop getting probate like pick, and just trying to put the puzzle pieces together, come spend 4 hours with me. Imagine 4 hours with Carolyn. Okay, your brain is going to be like, okay? And I'm going to break down the business for you from cold call all the way to closing, okay? Once you get the deal, how do we process it? What is the sales process once you actually get the deal? This is very important, okay? And then we're going to break down 2 case studies. So we're going to listen to the attorney call. We're going to listen to the cold call. I'm going to show you the property tour when I got there. What did I do to prepare it? Let's look at the closing statement. Let's look at the probate documents. We're going to do a deep dive on 2 deals, tell you the whole process, and then do the deep dive. And then you guys get a one-on-one with me to do a business strategy call on how you can start probate in your market. You can do it, guys. It's happening all around you. Whether you get involved or not, probate's happening. People are dying, their family's inheriting the houses, and they need to sell. So let's make 2026 a powerful one. If you're interested in my masterclass, the link is in my bio. Go ahead, click the link, get in the room, get hanging out with me, and I promise you will be successful. All right, guys? And I'm always available for a one-on-one if you're interested in joining my team, you're interested in getting into my coaching program, book an appointment with me. Let's spend some time. Let's talk. Let's see if it's a good fit, and let's be successful. Okay? All right, guys, have an amazing week. I'll talk to you later. Bye. Bye, YouTube. Have a blessed day.